I call this meeting of Siloam Springs Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Song,
Sir.
T. Williams,
Here.
Sally,
Here.
McKinney,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Bernard,
Here.
K. Williams.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You've all received the minutes from the September 10th meeting. Is there any obvious changes that needs to be made? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as published.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes as published. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. First item on tonight's agenda is significant development permit SD 2402. Ms. Megan, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Megan Thomas Planner 1. This is an expired, previously approved significant development request for a commercial bank with some office spaces in there. This was approved last year on July 5th, 2023 by the Board of Directors, but has since expired. They are now looking to come back and get reapproval on this. The only changes made on this plan are to add the Black Hills Energy gas line and updating some of those dates on the plans to match this year's date. Staff is recommending approval with 3 conditions, and staff is available for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
For the record, I believe I said significant development permit 2402. It's actually 2408. Okay.
I forgot my clicker.
Okay, I see no one in the audience that wants to address this issue unless you do, Mr. Holmeyer.
I'll answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions or concerns about this development, SD 2408?
The only question I had, and I can see it in the specs, the entrance off of Highway 412, I assume there would be no left turn allowed out of that exit.
Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Mount Olive. That is correct. It is a right turn in, right turn out only.
So close to
Well-
the intersection there.
If someone is turning left, they will be able to turn left into it, but they will not be able to turn left out.
But yeah, they turn right into it, or yeah.
They're right in, or they can,
There's egress onto Kenwood.
I'm not a big fan of right in, right outs, because if you go over there at Starbucks, you see how well they work. But anyway,
Yes, that was my only concern.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I remember there was a lot of discussion last time about the residential lot next door to it. And there were 4 conditions last time we approved this, and there are only 3 now. Is it not code that we have the screen between the residential lot and the commercial lot?
Mr. Chair, Chris Paxton, I'm the Director of Community Development. It's my understanding that the first time that this went through, that the Board of Directors heard the item and reviewed the conditions of approval and interpreted that based off of the neighboring lots zoning, that usage had a commercial buffer between the residential use and the commercial use at this location. So that interpretation led to the Board of Directors removing that condition of approval. And since that was removed at the previous hearing by the Board of Directors based on their interpretation of their code, staff did not add that back at this time. And the Planning Commission does have the ability to revisit that at this point.
Thank you, Chris.
What's the commercial buffer?
So the adjacent lot had a smaller footprint. At one point, it was a residentially zoned lot. The lot itself expanded based off of a lot line adjustment When that lot line adjustment expanded, which now shares a property boundary with this lot, they did not rezone the portion of the other lot that was previously zoned commercial. So when they adjusted the boundaries of the lot, there is a multi-zoned lot. Portion of that lot is zoned residential and a portion of it is zoned commercial.
Is it still currently zoned that way, or is it the lot adjacent to the property, is it residential or is it multi-zoned?
It is, my understanding that it's still multi-zoned and the zoning that's adjacent to this property is commercial.
That's correct. And Megan Thomas Planner 1. The dimensions of the lot, so the only thing that they could use it for at this time for the abutting west property is single-family residential, as the little sliver of C2 is not viable for commercial use, and the lot does not meet the dimension requirements for C2 zoning as it currently is.
So the little sliver of C2 there is what keeps them from having to put up opaque screening?
That was the argument at the board last year.
How small is that little? I don't know.
Without having the survey in front of me and being able to actually measure it, I wouldn't be able to speak on that at this time.
Ron, do you know?
I would be guessing, so I'm not going to try and say a number. Ron Holmeyer, Civil Engineering again, it shows the red. The argument that was made at the Board of Directors is that the code states that if the property is adjacent to a piece of property that is a different zone, then the screening is required, or a lesser zone, residential type lesser zone. And since this property is abutting a C2 piece of property, they agreed that the screening is not required. And the interpretation that the only use is residential of that lot is irrelevant because it is not touching residential. It is touching commercially zoned property.
Okay, and we're sure that it's touching the commercial zone property. It hasn't been readjusted.
That's correct. At this time, there has not been a rezoning ordinance that would have brought that portion of the lot into a different zoning.
All right. I thought there had been a lot line adjustment.
The lot line adjustment occurred, which changes the lot boundary, but the zoning does not change until an ordinance changes that portion of the lot.
Mr. Chairman, I believe last year when staff originally gave this tech review comment, they had control of that west lot and we had given them the option to rezone it to C2. But that's when we realized that the lot dimensions for it were not meeting the C2 property requirements.
And just for the record, it's two different property owners now, by the way.
Okay,
They don't control the property to the west anymore.
okay, so the current property owner of the development is not the same as the,
Right, he closed on the property after the project was approved, and so the property is two different property owners now.
any other questions concerning this development?
No, but I appreciate that clarity on the C2 buffer.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I believe our senior planner has the code that was interpreted, if you wanted to hear,
Yes,
if you wanted to
please.
hear that code.
yes, please.
Yes, I did pull that up just because I had a feeling that this might come up in the meeting. So it states here, this is 4F of the C2 zone. It says, open space, each development lot shall provide and maintain, 1, a landscape buffer no less than 6 feet wide along all property lines and including a 6-foot opaque screen along all abutting residential properties, 12 feet along the front property line and fronting along a principal arterial street. So the determination isn't on zoning, it's whether it's a residential property. And so there's some interpretation that with that commercial strip, it's no longer fully residential, but it's really up to interpretation how you define a residential property. That's what the code says.
Mr. Chair, staff will yield to the opinion of the Board of Directors. So if the Board of Directors had made a determination that that's their interpretation, then that's why staff did not include that back. So staff will yield to the decision of the Board of Directors.
And we still don't, we're talking a sliver of land, 12 feet, 10 feet, 6 feet.
Yeah, it's a little sliver of C2. The reason that staff interpreted it as a residential lot is because the only thing that can be built on it at this time is a single-family residential house.
When combined with the residential lot that's there.
It has been combined, so the little strip of C2, the sliver, is part of the residential lot. It's a multi-zone lot. It has multiple zoning districts on one property.
Okay.
One fast final comment. The owner of the residential lot that has been added to this C2 remainder is also the owner of the C2 along all the 412 frontage. It's highly unlikely he's going to build a house on that.
The only concern that I personally have with this as a planning commission member is if we've got code that says that any commercial property adjacent to residential should have a divider, as Senior Planner Rhodes just read to us. So if we look the other way on this, then lo and behold, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years from now, here comes somebody and said, well, wait a minute, you didn't do it. You didn't do it for that development. I remember I sat and listened to you. That's the only issue I have with this. The same issue we had a few months back, if you'll recall, about the distance when the porch came up, trying to get variance to the porch, and we couldn't do that because it was setting a precedence. And I want to make sure that we don't set a precedence here that, in my personal interpretation, is going against city code.
Mr. Chairman, I have a further clarification. If this is just one residence there, correct? It isn't multiple residents. It's one residence with a little bit of commercial zoning.
Actually, it's a vacant lot.
It's all vacant. There's no residence there.
That's what I was going to say,
Okay.
it's vacant.
That's what I couldn't picture where there was a house there.
No, it's an all vacant lot.
Okay,
And-
that's
and-
better.
And if this were to come before the Board of Adjustments, I would probably be the first one to move to give them a variance for it.
Mr. Chair, and I think you bring up an excellent point. So when there's an ordinance requirement in the zoning code, the Board of Adjustment is the authority that makes those variance calls. However, we did revisit this, and it's less of a variance call, is more of an interpretation call. So that's why staff was unable to move forward in re-adding that back. So the board has the ability to interpret their code. I think to our processes in planning is that this should never have been a condition of approval in the first place if it was a code requirement. Conditions of approval are excess requirements that are otherwise not stated in code. We don't list code requirements as conditions of approval unless we're trying to move that through the process as a courtesy to the applicant. So when we're moving forward with the condition of approval so that it can move forward in a process and then those items are getting removed, it's something that makes me think that we need to revisit our processes.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Kevin Moore, Public Works. It appears from our GIS map and then also from the plans provided that that commercial buffer to the west of this property line is approximately 37 feet.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to state for the record, 37 feet, with it being zoned the way it is, I don't feel like I would change my decision of saying, I understand why the opaque is not required in this case. If someone was to come to me with this exact same situation and have 37 feet of commercial property next to what they were building, I don't think it would come before us, first off now. But I think I would still vote the same way. Now, if there wasn't that 37 feet of commercial space, then that would be different. And if it was all residential by zone, then I would vote differently. But with that 37 feet, I understand there's not really a need for an opaque landscape.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Just so I'm clear, the letter of the law, Ben, says abutting, right?
That's correct. It says abutting residential properties is what the code says.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think that that's the difference on the interpretation is residential properties. It doesn't say residential use. It does not say residential zone. So there's your two different interpretations. And in this case, the board's considered the zone versus staff considered the use. The primary use for a property of that size with the limitations on the zoning that was available would identify it most likely as a residential use versus a residential zone.
Any other comments? Seeing or hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept SD 24-8 with conditions as presented.
I have a motion to approve SD-2408 with the staff recommended conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
and Song.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This will go to the Board of Directors on November the 4th, 2024. Next item on the agenda is easement acceptance. Ms. Megan, your turn.
Okay, we only had two minor amendments last month, so we have one at 21-153 Highway 16, and one at 2202 and 2200 North Carl Street. These are those plats. You're just accepting the easements, so I'm available if you guys have any questions on these.
Commissioners, do you have any questions on these easements? Yes, Ben.
Mr. Chairman, just want to make a correction that that's November 5th. November 5th would be when that item would go to the board.
What did I say?
You said November 4th.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the 5th. My apologies. It will be November the 5th. Okay. Any comments on the easements? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept the easements as presented.
I have a motion to accept the easements as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the easements as presented. Roll call, please.
McKinney,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bernard,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
and Sally.
The easements are accepted. Next item on our agenda is board and staff approved permits. You all received a copy of the staff and board approved permits. Are there any comments or questions on those items?
And we kind of have this as a news slide for y'all. So I usually give you that little report where it kind of runs through everything and it shows the easement acceptance too, and it's all just kind of there. This slide is just telling you really, these are the things that you're not seeing, but they're going to the board. So these are the big ones. We have the annexation for Heritage Ranch Phase 4. It's a little tiny strip being annexed in. We have a right-of-way at 830 South Lincoln Street. They'll have their first reading on October 15th. And then we have Whispering Oaks Phase 1B final plat. And those are all at Tuesday night's meeting for October 15th board.
Can I ask a question on that item number 2?
Uh-huh.
That is, what is that? Say that again?
It's a alleyway vacate. It's for the VFW. They're vacating a 10-foot wide alleyway that runs along their property there, but they're doing it all throughout that whole neighborhood right there, basically. So yeah, we're recommending approval. That'll be its first reading.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on these? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.